Hi, in this video today we're going to start looking into 3D designing and programming. I'm just going to grab an STL file online for our 3D part and then draw a little box around it and then go through the programming. So to start, the first thing you want to do is go online and find the 3D part that you would like to machine. So I like to use STL files as kind of a cool 3D project. The best place to find your STL files are, you can go to GrabCAD or Thingiverse, or there's a number of different sites. So we're just going to go to Thingiverse. And I'm going to make one of my favorite Marvel characters, Groot. So I'm just going to look for Groot. And we're going to do this one right here. So once you find the part that you'd like to try to machine, you want to download the files and then save them, and then you're going to see these files show up in your downloads folder once the download's complete. So if you look here, the download is now complete. So if you go to your downloads folder, you're going to see a zipped file. Now anytime you have a zip file, that means that was a folder that was put online with files inside of it, and you cannot put a folder online to download without zipping it first. So what we need to do is unzip this file. So you're going to right click on it, and then you should have some kind of zip utility. Mine is WinZip. I'm just going to do unzip to here. Now that takes, it's a little bit of a process, takes a few seconds. You're going to watch this file unzip. Once it's unzipped, you should have the folder that matches your zip folder. Now if I go inside of that folder, it looks like I have a couple different STLs that came with that project. I'm going to usually use the larger one. Usually that's a full assembly. Sometimes parts come in multiple STLs. For starting out, try to just grab something that's one file if you can. So I'm going to use this Groot thick shell, and all I'm going to do is take that Groot thick shell, hold it down, and just drag it over to my brand new Mastercam 2020 file. And then it'll take a second to load, but that should load this large Groot into my Mastercam. Now you want to come down here and you want to shade him outline, and then you see this is that Groot that I want to machine. Now he's really big right now. We're going to do some data manipulation and we're going to get him down to the size we want. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move him out of the way, move him away from my origin so that I can draw my box size that I want to get him down to. So transform dynamic. Now an STL is a one solid object, so you should never have to highlight it with a window. You should just be able to click any part of it and you're going to get it. So I will click him. I'm just going to move him over to the side, and then I'm actually going to rotate him down facing the direction that I want him. So when I scale him down to machine him, so minus 90 degrees and green check. So now if I put it in a top view, you can see here's my Groot. Now the size for the project that we want to do today is going to be 3 inches by 5 inches by ½ inch thick. That's the stock we're going to use for this is 6061 aluminum, 3 inch by 5 inch, and we will do the ½ inch thick block. So I'm going to create that rectangle. So 3 inches wide, 5 inches tall, and I'm just going to snap it to my origin. We're going to green check that. Now you'll see that this Groot is much larger than this small stock size, so we're going to have to scale him down. But first, let's set up our parameters for how we're going to machine this, or the size that we're going to have. So my block is ½ inches thick, and I'm going to machine a 1/4 inch off of this block. So transform dynamic, and I'm going to take this rectangle and I'm just going to snap to the center, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it down a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to copy it twice. So I have 3 rectangles. So the top is here, this is a 1/4 inch lower and a 1/4 inch lower. That'll represent a 1/2 inch block. So for my surfaces that I'm going to create a flat boundary in this middle one. So chain it, green check, and then I'm going to hit blue check so I can create a new one. Now I'm going to do the same chain for my bottom, green check and green check. So you see those 2 surfaces were created. Now if you want to fill in these sides, we can do it with a loft surface. So I'm going to select this chain, and then green check, and you can see it filled in all of the sides. Okay, so now the goal is to get this Groot to fit inside of this upper 1/4 inch. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to start just by scaling him down in the XY axis, or scaling him down overall just so that he fits inside of the XY axis. So transform, scale, I'm going to select him, and then for my scale, I'll start by scaling him down to 0.05 of his original size, and I want to make sure I move him. Okay, so that looks like it's getting pretty close. So we're going to green check that, and we're going to move him over next to my box to see how he fits. So transform dynamic and selection, and we'll just set him right inside of our box here. It looks like he needs to be scaled down a little bit smaller to fit. So we're going to scale him again. And selection, this time I'll scale him to 0.8, which is roughly 80% of his current size. Okay, that looks really good. He fits in the X and Y. So I think I'm going to move him just a little bit. Kind of center him up a little bit better left and right, and then I'm going to move him up just a little bit. So move, green check. Okay, now it looks like I copied him the first time, so we'll go ahead and delete our copy. We don't need that. Okay, so now he looks good left to right, but if we look at him from the side, he's much larger in the Z-axis than what can fit in our small machining window here on this block. So what we're going to do is we're going to scale him again, but this time we're only going to scale the Z-axis. So we're going to leave X and Y alone and just scale Z. So we're going to make it 20% of what it was, and you can see how that flattens him right out. And then now he should fit within our box if we move him down. So I'm going to accept that. I'm going to transform dynamic and selection. And now I'm going to grab this Z here, the line, and then I can move him up and down. Now if I right click and I look at it from a right view, my goal is to make the Groot, so the blue part, fit within this rectangle to this rectangle. So I'm going to put him about right there. Okay, so I can green check that. Now you see we have this 3D Groot that fits within our machining window, which this is a 1/2 inch block that we're going to machine a 1/4 inch of material away. And for fun, to finish this design, I'm going to go ahead and add some engraving down here. So we'll just create some letters. I am Groot. For our font, let's go ahead and use, I don't know, let's just use a Hartford font. And then the height of our font, we're going to put at 1/4 inch. That should, yeah, that'll fit in there real nice. And I'm just going to drop that in there. And green check that. And now we are all designed. Go ahead and save that and get ready to start machining. We're going to go through some 3D machining toolpaths today, some actual stock model, and everything you need to know to get started with 3D machining.